What's up, guys? It's KB. Make sure you subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel. Click the bell icon down below so you don't miss a single video from us. And thanks for tuning in to another video from Underground Sports Philadelphia. Now let's get into it.
Philadelphia, baby, you're going to love it. Best sports fans in the world. Actually, the worst, but that's what makes them the best.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome into episode number 821 of Underground Sports Philadelphia, presented by the city of Vineland. It's your boy KB coming at you solo dolo, getting your week started off on the right foot, the left foot, and hopefully walking down a much smoother path than what it feels like the Philadelphia Phillies are walking on right now. This is going to be a very heavy Phillies episode. We're going to be diving into reporting to spring training. We're going to get into Nick Castellanos signing with the San Diego Padres. We are going to talk about Bryce Harper responding to Dave Dombrowski and his comments that he made with the media today down in Clearwater. And we're going to talk about your boy having to respond to an absolute Twitter troll loser this week and just put somebody in their place because they are just angry. And guess what? I have a much larger platform than they ever will, so I'm going to utilize my platform to once again showcase my skills of being able to silence trolls and absolute losers who hide behind keyboards. But before I get into everything, make sure you guys are following us on the socials at Underground PHI across the board. We're on every social platform: Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Threads, Facebook, LinkedIn. We're on everything. Follow us on the socials. Subscribe to the podcast on Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts in audio form. Leave us a 5-star rating and review. It goes a long way for helping the show continue to grow. It helps more people find Underground Sports Philadelphia and allows us to take this thing to the moon. So please keep subscribing. Apple, Spotify, leave those 5-star ratings and reviews. And, of course, subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel, youtube.com/@Underground Sports Philadelphia. Leave a like on the video, drop a comment in the comment section, and smash that bell icon so you know whenever new videos go live. We are currently at 1,250 subscribers. Thanks for getting us to that halfway point. Let's get to 1,300 and make that bad boy happen and keep on humming towards these next 1,000 subscriber milestones. And, of course, guys, you all know this show is proudly presented by the city of Vineland. Yes, my hometown, rockin' and rollin'. And the City of Vineland Municipal Calendar features city-organized, city-sponsored, and city-affiliated events that are of public interest. The calendar, which is accessible at vinelandcity.org, is a good way for residents and visitors to build awareness, remain engaged with city government, and participate in local events. You can also follow the City of Vineland on social media via their Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and YouTube pages. And through these tools, you can stay connected to the community and get important announcements about programs and services offered by the city. Vineland, New Jersey, where it is always growing season. And big thank you to Security 21 Security Systems and Paul J. Gillespie Incorporated for their continued support of this podcast.
Hello, I'm Mayor Anthony Fanucci. Vineland, New Jersey offers both a great business location and an outstanding quality of life. But don't just take my word for it, the experts agree. We're proud to be recognized as a premier food processing and logistics hub, one of New Jersey's most affordable and desirable cities, and one of the best places to retire in the country. Visit vinelandcity.org and see how our resources can work for you. Vineland, New Jersey, where it's always growing season.
Did that one off the rip. Look at your boy just finally memorizing one of the ad reads. No script. We're out here rocking and rolling. But yes, as I mentioned, we're going to be very Phillies heavy on this episode. Lots to talk about. I didn't really pay attention to much of NBA All-Star Weekend. It's kind of sailed on by me. And obviously the NHL is in the Olympic break. If you want more Olympics coverage, go subscribe to Light the Flame in Olympics podcast, where we're breaking down the Olympics every single day right here on this network. So please go subscribe to that as well. It'll be linked in the description. But very Phillies-heavy episode here. The Phils reported to Clearwater. Bunch of the guys down there. A lot of stuff to dive into. I don't even know where to begin because we've had a bazillion headlines since we last talked on this show. It feels like it's been forever. We had Nick Castellanos get released when we recorded on Thursday afternoon. He has since signed with the San Diego Padres. We will talk about all of that. Zach Wheeler's rib is in his closet because he had his rib removed from his thoracic outlet surgery. That happened. Bryce Harper spoke with the media. Like, it's insane how many different things have happened just over the course of this weekend with this team, and the season hasn't even started. Spring training games haven't even started, and the headlines around this team are in mid-season form. But let's start with Wheeler. Let's start with the rib. Because Zach Wheeler, thoracic outlet surgery happened, obviously. He's recovering well. Topper came out and said that he's not going to be ready for the start of the season, which I think was kind of the consensus. We all knew that was the case when Wheeler went down with the blood clot issue. And now it's like fully confirmed. He won't be ready for opening day, but it shouldn't be too far off afterwards with how things are progressing. So that's a great sign to have your ace back in the fold, hopefully sooner than what I imagined it to be. And, consulting with my dad, who has dealt with people who have had that issue, he thought it would be closer to, a full year of recovery just based on Wheeler's age, what he's doing for his position and everything. But pretty cool sign to see that Wheels hopefully on the mend sooner rather than later. But he had his rib removed, and he kept the rib, and it's in his closet. And the jokes that progressed from that headline and that report were just incredible. If Bull's Barbecue is not taking full advantage of marketing with that and doing some stuff with Wheeler to just have some fun this season with that, I don't know what we're doing. We got to have Wheeler spare ribs just ready to go, slab them up. Wheeler's wife posted on Instagram, does anybody know how to make it into a necklace? Just this team, man. This team makes me laugh. Like, keeping a rib in your closet. Like, how do you store that? What is the proper way to store that so not only does it not, like, create a removed body part scent, but, like, so it doesn't disintegrate? Like, I want to know the proper means that was told to Zach Wheeler for keeping his rib in his closet and how to properly store it so that it, I think first and foremost, does not emit a foul funk into the bedroom there for the Wheeler family. Also, great job by Wheeler's wife to just have fun with it and asked who could make a necklace. Unless she's being wildly serious, which then that would be hysterical in and of itself. But Zach Wheeler's rib, shout out to our good friend of the program, Olivia Smith, made a shirt that I will be ordering. It just says Wheeler's rib on it. It's just fantastic. I'll be rocking that at some point this season because it's just too funny not to. You have to laugh sometimes with some of the headlines that come out about your team when it comes to things like that. So Wheeler's rib is a spring training headline in and of itself. The real baseball headlines. Last we talked, Nick Castellanos was released, and it has caused more social discourse online than I think I could have ever imagined. It is crazy the amount of people who lost their fucking minds in both aspects, but mostly the people who are like defending, not saying the move was like not going to happen. That's first and foremost. Like, we kind of knew Nick was on the way out. But the people that are just like gung-ho with the way that the team went about doing it, the way that Dombrowski and the Phillies front office went about this whole process is crazy. It is the more I talked about it a little bit on Thursday's episode, but the more I've sat and like dwelled on this, the more insane it is to me, the handling of this entire situation. I don't want to hear, oh, he's a $20 million player. He's not playing like a $20 million player, blah, blah, blah. No, that's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is you signed a guy 5 years ago at this point, or, 4 seasons ago. Didn't get the full 5, but 4 seasons ago. You signed him going into 2022. And he was your final, like, free agent piece. You signed Schwarber that offseason. You've brought in guys prior to that. Obviously, Harper, Wheeler, Gene Segura. Like, you brought in guys throughout this process and things like that. The way that this went down is such... The Phillies have walked away from this situation looking worse than they have in years. Because typically, the talk about the Philadelphia Phillies has been the way that they treat their players, the way that the organization is run. And I'm not saying that that is null and void. What I am saying is that this particular situation and how it was dealt was so blasted in front of everyone's faces, not just Philadelphia-wise, but Major League Baseball-wise, that it's going to rub some people the wrong way. Okay? And it's okay to admit that. It's okay to admit your favorite team makes mistakes. And I'm not saying releasing Nick was necessarily a mistake. I'm not saying, moving on from Nick where it was obvious the relationship had soured is a mistake. You got to do what you got to do. What have you. What I'm saying is the way that it was handled was poor on the Phillies' behalf. If they would have done this in December, given Nick more time to go out and search for a team to sign him, we wouldn't be having this conversation right now. It would have been just like, oh yeah, they're moving on from Nick. Okay. It's the start of free agency. That gives him an opportunity to go and, sign wherever he needs to, wants to continue his career. We would not be having this conversation right now because we wouldn't have thought twice if it was done in December. I don't think we really would have thought much of it if it was done in January. We would have been like, okay, yeah, maybe they attempted to trade him. But again, they showed their hand from day one and said, hey, we are going to try to trade him or release him. That was the whole thing. If they never opened their mouths about that, we wouldn't be having this conversation. And it is something we'll talk about with Bryce Harper. This has been the messiest offseason in the Dombrowski era for the Philadelphia Phillies. And I like Dave Dombrowski. I've liked his approach since he's come to the Philadelphia Phillies. But I am not going to sit here and just openly, bootlick for the guy when he's clearly had a messy offseason. Have the Phillies players performed up to the status quo that we wanted them to in the postseason? No. They've fallen flat ever since they lost the World Series in 2022. It's just gone escalator down. Okay? They have not performed well in the postseason. Your superstars have not shown up to hit in the postseason. Nick Castellanos showed up and has had some clutch hits in the postseason. But that's not what this argument's about. What it is about is prior off seasons there has been very little do-to-dos with this team. There's been very little waves made that last a long time. There's the rightfully justified complaining about, lack of adding, depth pieces that are actually going to improve the team. But again, you signed guys like Kyle Schwarber, like Trey Turner, like at the time Nick Castellanos, Bryce Harper, JT Realmuto, to show up in the postseason. And over the past couple of seasons, 2024 and 2025, and the NLCS games 6 and 7, those guys have not shown up. Those guys have not shown up in the postseason. And you pay those guys the big bucks, and they have not shown up to help you get over the hump and trying to win a World Series. Okay, those guys are the ones that you should be openly criticizing within reason, because guess what? The way those guys perform in the regular season get us to those spots in the postseason. And baseball, to me, to a lot of people, you should be basing improvement of a team based on your regular season because of how long the baseball regular season is. The postseason's such a crapshoot, but you still need those guys to perform. Two things can be accurate. Okay? Those guys have not shown up. But even when they haven't shown up, the Phillies front office has been, we believe in these guys, this, that, and the third. You get the Bryce Harper comments from Dombrowski early in this offseason saying he's not elite and all this kind of stuff. You have this messy divorce with Nick Castellanos. You have the comments with Matt Strahm, who's obviously no longer here, but you had those comments come out, and kind of a weird breakup there with a guy who has been an anchor in that bullpen on many occasions. And it just felt like such a strange offseason. You got played by Bo Bichette, and it's okay to openly say Dave Dombrowski has had a bad offseason as your president of baseball operations for the Philadelphia Phillies. This has been a wildly different offseason, and in many circumstances, not in a good way. Like I said, Harper comments. Strahm back and forth, he gets traded. Castellanos divorce. You have the Bo Bichette using you and playing you. You overpay to bring JT back. You sign Adolis Garcia, but nobody else to add to this lineup that vastly underperformed in the postseason. Like, your one benefit was re-signing Kyle Schwarber, which I think a lot of people knew was going to happen. And you bolstered the bullpen, obviously. But you lost Ranger Suarez. You haven't done anything to improve the starting rotation, because that starting rotation, even with Christopher Sanchez, a hopefully healthy Aaron Nola, when Wheeler comes back, and Luzardo, is still worse than what it was last year going into the season, because you're not going to have Wheeler to start the season. Taijuan Walker and an unknown in Andrew Painter, who I'm obviously very high on if you listen to this show, but he's a rookie. You don't know what to expect from him. So that's a giant question mark, and the rotation on paper, worse without Ranger Suarez in it. Worse without Zach Wheeler in it to start the year. It's okay to admit those things. But it has been a spotlight offseason for this Phillies team in not a good way. And people who are afraid to admit that, like, why are you afraid to admit that? It's, you look at the world-class organization in this city with the Philadelphia Eagles, and I hate comparing teams, but when would you ever see Jeffrey Lurie or Howie Roseman make comments to the media, no less, about a player the way that Dave Dombrowski did about Bryce Harper, and to a lesser extent Matt Strahm, or go about an off-season saga the way that Dombrowski and company did with Nick Castellanos, when would we ever see that from the Eagles? Never. That's the answer. Never. It is just a mind-blowingly crazy offseason to me, where I'm going in as a fan, as somebody who covers this team on the daily, who brings you guys baseball content that, well, we thrive during baseball season. And I appreciate that you all come to us for Phillies content. I'm going into this offseason for the first time since 2021 with, like, tempered expectations, like nervous expectations, because I don't know what to expect from this team. You know, going into last year, I was like, they're going to be on a revenge bounce back. I liked what they did in the offseason. Luzardo was a great acquisition to kind of counterbalance, like, hey, the only real bat we added to the lineup was Max Kepler, who I at the time was a fan of that move, and obviously that move did not work out. But you kind of did the same thing this offseason, and you didn't add a premium starting pitcher to the rotation that has a resume. You added Andrew Painter to the starting rotation. He has no major league resume. You added Adolis Garcia. That is like a Max Kepler-esque move. And you're hoping and banking on Adolis Garcia reverting back to 2023 Adolis Garcia, which you're three years removed from that going into the year. He looks like a giant human, though, and I hope he mashes in a stadium like Citizens Bank Park, because that would be awesome for this lineup. But, like, you made no significant improvements to this lineup that are different from last year. And I have so many more questions about the team this year outside of the bullpen, where you're going to get a full season of Johan Duran. You have Brad Keller. Alvarado is back. Like, you have an improved bullpen from last year on paper. You still have Harper. You still have Schwarber. You still have Trey Turner. But, like, what is – and you guys know we've been staunch Alec Boehm fans since his rookie season. Since we drafted him, I've been on board. And I've said he's a guy who can play third base when many people doubted that. And look at him now. But offensively, what is he going to provide to you? And is he a cleanup hitter? To me, no. He's somebody who should be hitting like sixth to get like his full potential. What is Brandon Marsh going to bring for you? What is Justin Crawford going to bring to this lineup? What does Bryson Stott do for you? Can Bryson Stott finally make it all click again and be hitting like 280 rather than 250? What does JT do in this lineup? Where does he hit? Does he hit seventh? Does he hit eighth? There's so many questions outside of Turner, Schwarber, Harper, and Harper has no protection in this lineup again. So be prepared to watch Harper like get walked and be thrown pitches that are out of the zone, because you're going to have, according to Topper, one of JT, Adolis Garcia, or Alec Boehm hitting cleanup. And starting pitchers know they can go after those guys for the most part. So that's part of it. We'll get to Castellanos in a minute and his comments. But Bryce Harper responded to Dave Dombrowski. John Clark posted this. Harper said he was not pleased with Dave Dombrowski saying he's not elite. Quote, "I don't get motivated by that. When we first met with this organization, we're always going to keep things in-house. For Dave to say that, it's kind of wild." Here's the thing. And I tweeted this. There's multiple things in this whole scenario that can be true. Number one, last season, did Bryce Harper live up to what we know Bryce Harper can be as an elite baseball player, as one of the best players in Major League Baseball, quite frankly, to ever do it? No. But also, let's not forget Bryce Harper was injured last year. I want to take a look here just to be on the nose, because we all know Bryce Harper missed time last year. Bryce Harper in 2025 appeared in 132 of them. He missed 30 games last year. Missed 30 games in 2025. Big ones, too. Like, key points of the season. Missed time. And Bryce Harper still logged a 3.1 WAR last year, missing that much time. He played great first base defense and was still a key cog in the wheel to make sure that this team won 96 games, won a back-to-back division title, and got to the spot where they were in the postseason, even though it wasn't enough. He still was a key. Like, this team doesn't do anything without Bryce Harper last year. But we can all recognize that it wasn't enough from Bryce Harper, but we can also recognize he was injured. And he still played a key part, both offensively and defensively, to get the Phillies into the postseason. Most wins they've had since 2011, and another division title. The other part of this that can be true, like I said, Dave Dombrowski should not have made those comments publicly. It's so, like, crazy to me that people are just openly, like, just going to bat and saying this is all on the players. Like, the comments from Dave stunk out loud. There's no need for Dave Dombrowski to go out and say those comments publicly. It's insane to me. Still, like, and the fact that people are defending Dave Dombrowski in this whole scenario is beyond crazy to me. Like, I feel like I'm taking crazy pills hearing people openly defend Dave Dombrowski in this situation. Harper has every right to respond publicly, too, because guess what? Dave made his comments publicly to the media. So Bryce has every right, in my opinion, to voice his frustrations there with Dave going public with those comments. Especially for a guy who is still under contract for another 6 years. It's crazy that it's only that much left of the Bryce Harper contract. But, like, I don't understand the notion. And, you know, Bryce kind of just, like, openly talking about how, you know, he said a lot of the quiet parts out loud. Bryce knows that he didn't have the best season last year. You know, Bryce Harper, he said, I love what the Dodgers do. Obviously, they spend money. They run their team like a business. And he said he's excited to have Aaron Judge hit behind him clean up. In the World Baseball Classic. It's crazy. And then you have the stupid radio station, too, openly saying that they're Team Dombrowski. Of course they're going to say that. Of course they're going to say that. I gotta quote tweet this. It's crazy to me. Like, Harper knows he didn't have his best season last year, and that's okay. He was injured, but he also didn't live up to the expectations we have for him as a player, and he knows that. And I guarantee Bryce Harper is going to have the biggest fuck you season we've seen in quite some time from him. It's still okay to say Dave Dombrowski fucked up too. It's wild to me. So, you know, it is what it is. It breaks my brain when I see the stupidity of some people in these situations, because it's so easy to just like sit down and critically think about this whole scenario. To sit down and realize Dave Dombrowski should have never made his comments. Bryce Harper knows he can be better. Bryce Harper knows that he didn't have his best season last year, but also recognizes it's kind of wild that my president of baseball operations spoke to the media this way about me. I don't know. To me, like, the way that Bryce Harper gets treated sometimes blows my mind. And has Bryce won a championship here yet? No. But in a lot of ways, like, there's some similarities the way that this city treats Jalen Hurts, who has won a championship for this city and has been to 2 title games with the Super Bowl. Came close to winning 2 of his appearances. But the way that people treat Bryce Harper is just crazy to me. Like, do we not remember where this team was prior to Bryce Harper? And what this organization was, like, hurtling towards before they decided to pivot and say, hey, we're going to spend money instead of trying to develop the players we drafted because we know they're not that good. And we drafted poorly, so we got to reset that whole thing. So while we do that, let's go and spend money to build out this roster and just buy the team that we need to buy. Do we not remember, like, all of that? Do we not remember that entire Harper offseason saga and just how elated we were to sign that guy? I know it's been a lot of, like, ups and downs and frustrations of not getting to the mountaintop, but god damn, this guy is a fucking rock star. And the nitpicking we do about our superstars in this goddamn city blows my fucking mind. Between Jalen Hurts, Bryce Harper, Joel Embiid, it's like those guys have to walk on the eggshells of eggshells. Otherwise, it opens a gazillion trapdoors from the incels of Philadelphia sports fandom and the stupid radio station and just everywhere else, of questioning these guys not only as players, but half the time as people. Which you will never get that on this show. You'll get constructive criticism, but you're never going to hear me bash humans, okay? Unless it's deserved, which those 3 guys in particular that I just named, it has never once been deserved. But when it comes to like, here's the thing. When it comes to Bryce Harper, he can adjust his play on the field. Okay? He can make adjustments. He can do things to improve his play. What needs to be improved is kind of some of the public perception of Dave Dombrowski and the way this Phillies organization is running right now. Because, I don't know. We'll get to Nick Castellanos' comments in a moment because it doesn't look good. And like, I don't care what anyone says. The way that people are treating Nick Castellanos is crazy. Because here's the thing. And I would love to get this person that I'm going to mention in a moment on this show, because I've been a fan of his for a long time, and I think it would be great to pick his brain. But here's the thing with Castellanos. People have been on the Phillies side. Mostly. There's been some other people, like myself, who have been on the Castellanos side. But the people on the Phillies side are criticizing Nick. It's like, oh, he's not a good player, this, that, and the third. Those are the same people who, when a Tuesday in June rolls around, are going to be bitching and moaning about Rob Thompson, who are going to be bitching and moaning about other players not stepping up and saying Dombrowski doesn't do his job and Topper is gutless and all this stuff. Those are the same people that are criticizing Nick Castellanos right now. Those same people. Which one is it? Castellanos is openly saying there was some issues and the way that the team went about things. And I'm not in that room. I don't know what, was actually said. But what I do know is there's certain factions of this fan base that just want to have things be both ways to just fit their narratives. And that's not how life works. Okay? We talked about it on Thursday. What Nick did, he openly, brought his side to the table. Gelb put his article out, which feels like a smear piece in a lot of ways, and we know Gelb and Castellanos never really vibed. Dating back to, that interrogation media scrum after, Nick hit his home run and everything. That gave him 250 for his career. It's just crazy to me, man. This whole weekend has just been fucking insane with all of this. And quite frankly, I want to pull up some of Nick's comments because Nick Castellanos has signed with the San Diego Padres, as I mentioned. And I hate that because I hate the Padres, but it's crazy, the Phillies saved $780,000 because that's what the Padres are going to pay that's what the Padres are going to pay Nick Castellanos. I had a brain fart there. Like I said, the whole optics of this, not great. And I mean, again, it's the same people who will be bitching and moaning about some managerial decision, who will be bitching and moaning at the trade deadline that, oh, look, Dombrowski traded for another platoon outfielder and a bullpen pitcher. Same song and dance. Dombrowski's bad at his job. And Nick is obviously hinting at something in this organization that is off. Kyle Schwarber felt very uncomfortable answering questions about Nick. And I don't know if it was, him just trying to dance around things or what have you. But that was a very uncomfortable media moment there with Kyle Schwarber. Harper talked about it in a little less awkward of a situation. But I don't know, man. It has been a not great weekend for the Philadelphia Phillies in a lot of optical ways. From Harper's comments to Castellanos moving on and the release happening going into the weekend Now he's with the Padres. He talks about things, said he wishes we would have won a World Series. Obviously, same, Nick, same. But talked about how, he respects their manager because he put on the cleats and held a bat and everything. And, it's a weird situation. And Nick Castellanos will wear number 21 for the Padres. It just makes me feel weird about this team going into 2026 because we've never seen the Phillies really do this and handle a player like this in this fashion. And then on top of that, have your superstar kind of face the franchise player have issues now with the front office. And it's obvious Harper was rubbed the wrong way by Dombrowski, who I saw on Twitter. Dombrowski's here through 2027. And I think if the Phillies don't do anything significant this year, I don't know. It very may well be the end with Dombrowski in Philadelphia if they don't do something, because the way things are going, 2027 may not happen because of an impending lockout with the CBA and everything. That's really where I'm at. And the fact that we're sitting here talking about that on February 16th with pitchers and catchers, rather than the excitement about the Phillies being back, about the excitement of, another season on the horizon, the excitement of, the warm weather coming, and we're sitting here talking about drama, and we're talking about quotes and, bullshit that shouldn't be even, hearing the light of day. And I said hearing for a reason, because it's spoken word. Dombrowski's words shouldn't have made it out, which shouldn't have domino affected into Harper having to respond. The way that the Phillies handled Nick Castellanos should have never been the way that they handled it. It has just been a messy, messy, messy offseason for the Philadelphia Phillies. And you got to hope. You have got to hope and pray that this team gets off to a hot start. Every single person in that building, from Dombrowski on down, from Middleton on down, from John Middleton on down, they have got to hope and pray this team gets off to a hot start so that the only talk about this team is what is happening on the field. And if they start slow, oh my gosh, it's going to be ugly. Let me take a look at the schedule here. Obviously, the Phillies start the season at home against the Texas Rangers, 26th, 28th, 29th. They're home against the Nationals. Then they're at the Rockies. And then they're at the Giants, early visit to Harrison Bader. And then they come home to play the Diamondbacks and the Cubs and the Braves before they go to Wrigley, go to Atlanta, and then the Giants come to Philly to round out April. So you've got Rangers, Nationals, Rockies, Giants, Diamondbacks, Cubs, Braves, Giants in the month of April. That's how many games are they fully playing in April and March? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31 games in the months of March and April. This team has got to have, I don't know, 31 games. They got to be 19-12, 18-13 They got to have a significant number of wins in March and April. Especially with 2 series against the Braves, 2 against the Cubs early on. Two against the Giants. Like, you got some big hitters in there mixed in with the Rockies, the Nationals, and obviously you have the Rangers in the opening series. But Philly's got to win like anywhere from 18 to 20 games to like silence this bullshit, crazy whirlwind of an offseason and into spring training. Because I am just like, I'm already just like got a headache thinking about all of this stuff. And it's, you know, Phillies reported his spring training. Adolis Garcia looks massive. Got some good looks of, you know, Justin Crawford out there, Andrew Painter. But I'm like not that I'm not excited. I'm just like, looking around for like booby traps because this team is just like full of negative headlines right now and full of just negative talk around them that I'm just like, what are we focused on going into this season? It's crazy to me. It's crazy. But guess what, guys? The season's right around the corner, and you got to gear up with some of our favorite people, and I'm going to talk about them right now. First things first, our friends at 47. I've got that Citizens Bank Park exclusive right there with the Philly Fanatic, the Pomona hitch. I love this style. The Pomona hitch is one of my favorite. The diamond cut hitch, the rope hat hitch style. I just love the hitch style, quite frankly. But the Pomona hitch, for reference, right here next to me, if I can function, I've got the City Connect version. Same style, different vibe. I love it. And I have the red Phillies hat version of this. I've got the maroon with the throwback logo version. I just love the Pomona hitch. It's such a sweet, clean hat. It's vintage look. And 47 is the only hat I'm rocking because 47 is an apparel and lifestyle brand that is fit for every sports fan, whether you're a baseball fan, NFL, NBA, hockey, NASCAR, soccer, WNBA. They got you covered. And you can get free shipping on all orders when you use our link in the description to shop with 47 and join the 47 family. That is their version of a rewards program. You earn points on every purchase you make, and those points go towards free things. And I don't know about y'all. If it's free, it's for me. They've got some incredible, incredible capsules right now. Brand new NASCAR Daytona capsule. Daytona 500 just happened this weekend. They got the flag-bound collection for Major League Baseball, crossover with golf, and so much more. So use our link in the description, shop with 47, and get free shipping on all orders when you join the 47 family. And we thank 47 for being a proud partner of Underground Sports Philadelphia and the unofficial headwear partner of Underground Industries. Also want to talk to you guys about our good pals over at FOCO. FOCO, leaders in forever collectibles. And guys, you already know, baseball season around the corner means it's overall season. That means it's shortalls season. You got to gear up for Citizens Bank Park and be styling and profiling with those Phillies overalls, Phillies shortalls. FOCO is the place to do it. They've been the leaders in the industry for quite some time, and genuinely they've got things for the NFL, Major League Baseball. They've got college product, NHL, NBA, WNBA, MLS, NASCAR. Guess what? On top of that, they've got things for Hello Kitty and the Peanuts as well. You can shop their Hello Kitty collection for Major League Baseball. Some awesome stuff with Hello Kitty. But guys, we all know the overalls, the shortalls, you got to have them for this baseball season. They've got incredible apparel, incredible collectibles for your collection. Use our link in the description. Shop with our friends at FOCO. I got to get these green pinstripe overalls. because they're just clean. Matches my hat. It would be a great fit. I gotta get the splatter paint ones as well. They just got so many. They got so many overalls and shortalls that like I'd be set for the entire season. I got my City Connect ones that I got at the team store at Citizens Bank Park last season too. Get your overalls, get your shortalls. Use our link in the description to shop with FOCO, and we thank FOCO for being a long-standing partner of Underground Sports Philadelphia. I can't believe I have to do this on this show. I can't believe I've got to do this on this show. Okay? I never in a million years thought I'd have to do this on this show. I thought I only had haters over on OTB. Go subscribe to Outside the Box, official lacrosse podcast here on the network. I've got haters everywhere apparently, and I guess that's how you know you've made it in this industry, is when people start just giving you unprecedented and unwarranted bullshit in your social media mentions, which, if you know me, and I get it on YouTube, I get it on Twitter apparently too. I've got it on Instagram a couple of times. But if you know me, and I don't care if you come at me, I don't care if you come at the pod, what have you, I'm going to respond. I'm not afraid to respond to your little Twitter fingers, your keyboard warrior antics. Okay? That's just how I roll. I love performing mental gymnastics on people that absolutely puts their brains in a Philly pretzel knot that they don't see coming from somebody like yours truly. I present myself in a very professional way. I present myself in a very kind manner. You know, there's not many people who in this world have truly pissed me off to where I need to go back and forth with them. Typically, we can see our differences eye to eye. We keep it pushing and we keep it rolling. But what you won't do to me is insult me and expect me to not come back at you. We had a little coward on social media this week, guys. We had a little coward on social media who I had to drop some lines. I talked a little bit about it on OTB because we've got our own little troll on that show too. Which shout out to my boy Josh, who listened to the show and said, I really said to go touch grass. I know there's snow on the ground, but dig a little. Yeah, I did say that. Here's the lovely thing. I'm never going to back down from an absolute dolt on social media. So the Sheffield Shuffler does great content, great work. I believe I'll be appearing on friend of the program, Adam Rosenberg's Phillies preview episode with the Sheffield Shuffler, who posted on February 12th when Thursday's episode dropped. Nick Castellanos gave Otto Kemp and his wife a home when the Phillies called him up. Nick Castellanos is a good man regardless of what the media says. Couldn't agree more, to which I quote tweeted Sheffield Shuffler's post and said, the Castellanos family also did this for Weston Wilson. Basically saying this has been a standard for Nick and Jess for opening their doors to Phillies minor league players who get the call up to the big league club, where this can be a wild time for people. You know, you're moving your family, you're moving yourself even to a new spot on the fly. It can happen at any moment, and it can be a whirlwind. It's been a really cool gesture that I've seen Nick and Jess do for now multiple Phillies players with Weston Wilson and Otto Kemp. We had this dolt, who I'm not even going to give the time of day to mention them because they don't deserve it, because they hide behind a burner podcast account that they haven't even posted a podcast in nearly 2 years. So why you decide to respond from that account instead of your own, which I remember you following me. And here's the thing. This person follows me. I don't follow them. I've never followed them because they have always had this negative energy about them and this negativity complex about them that I don't need on my social media feeds because I like to curate my social media the way I like to curate it, and that's with vibes and smiles. Shout out to DJ. But this person hides behind a burner podcast account, and I can see your actual account. I don't know if it still exists because you may have gotten it banned from being such a negative dolt. But I can see your 2018 era Bitmoji profile picture, so we all know you still hide behind not your actual face. This burner podcast account said, okay, and to which I responded, I'm saying they were very willing and generous to open their homes for players getting called up from the minor leagues when that can be a whirlwind for many guys. It's a very awesome gesture that they didn't have to do. I never understand why you always have a negative demeanor. To which the burner podcast account responds, just because he's a good person doesn't mean he's truly a good teammate, and we know the truth. Stop defending that loser. I don't have a negative demeanor. I just hate stupid people who try and talk Phillies/baseball like they know the sport. Timeout right there. We're gonna take a timeout right there to address this part of the situation. I want everyone to rewind to what I said. Did I ever mention the teammate aspect of Nick Castellanos in anything I said there? Did I ever mention the teammate complex? Yes or no? Leave a comment in the comment section. Pencils down. Correct answer. No, I did not. To which there was no need. We're not talking about teammate. We're talking about the human aspect. This whole thing. Number two, we don't know the truth. There's the media reported side with Matt Gelb, which take it for what you will. There's the Castellanos side of things. Again, take it for what you will. We were not in any of those rooms. This burner podcast account was not there. I was not there. You all at home listening and watching were not there. We don't know the truth. And quite frankly, we will never really know the truth unless every single person involved somehow winds up on a podcast and starts talking about it openly. And even then, we have to take it with a grain of salt because we were not in the room at the time things have happened. Okay. Stop defending that loser. We're going to pause on that part. If you listen to Thursday's episode, if you have listened to this podcast since 2021, the Castellanos family has treated this podcast like royalty. They have treated us extremely well, have supported us, have been in our corner. I'm going to support them. I'm going to support them because they supported me. They didn't have to do that. Just like they didn't have to open their homes for Otto Kemp and Weston Wilson, but they did, so that's showing support. They didn't have to support us and interact with our show and listen to our show the way that they did. But guess what? They did, so that in turn means I'm going to support them because at the end of the day, they're great people. And that's what this all stems from. They're great people is the whole ethos of what I was talking about. But he says he doesn't have a negative demeanor. We'll circle back to that part. He says he hates stupid people who try and talk Philly/baseball like they know the sport. Buddy, you've been following me for ages. Like years you have been following me. I've never once followed you. You follow me. So that's your challenge by choice. You must think I know something because you've been following me. Quite frankly, I'm pretty sure since I started this whole podcast, you followed me. It's been a long time. You've been following me. I've never followed you. I've had no reason to follow you. You follow me. So that's challenge by choice number one. Number two, one thing we're not going to do is accuse me of not knowing baseball. One thing we're not going to do is accuse me of not knowing baseball. If you know me personally through this podcast or a combination of both, my number one sport that I will run laps around you with is baseball. Am I somebody who's breaking down analytics and sabermetrics and everything? No. But I will talk baseball and knowledgeably talk baseball for hours on end. So what we're not going to do is question me knowing baseball or not. Because guess what? When baseball season rolls around, guess what podcast numbers go way up? This one. So there you go with that. And the other thing we're not going to do is call me stupid. That's just not what we're going to do, especially when you're hiding behind a burner podcast account. We're not going to call me stupid, okay? That's just not going to happen. It's really not. Okay? Your Twitter fingers can only go so far. We're not going to sit behind a screen and question my intelligence. Because guess what? I found your little burner podcast account where one of your more recent episodes, you're jumping for joy that Nick Castellanos was an all-star in 2023, you fucking idiot. Yeah, I'm going to question your intelligence. Because you've given me every right to question your intelligence with the way that you speak to me. And you haven't even spoken to me because you would never do such a thing. I'll leave that at that. One thing we don't do is question my intelligence. The other thing we don't do is question my knowledge about baseball, because I'll run fucking circles around you. To which I responded, where did I say anything about a teammate angle? 2, I can do as I please. 3, one thing we're not going to do is call me stupid hiding behind a podcast account and accuse me of not knowing the sport, pal. To which this absolute loser says, what are you going to do about it? Absolutely fucking nothing. Okay. We're just going to resort to threats now. We're just going to resort to threats. To which yours truly responded, dude, you are way too emotional right now for no reason. It's pretty incredible. To which he responds, do something. So we've just gone right to threats now. This dude is just purely angry and looking to threaten somebody. All because I said the Castellanos family were good people. To which then I said, to his response of saying do something, I said, why are you so angry? And why are you hiding behind a burner podcast account? To which then this burner podcast account said, not angry and not hiding, but whatever helps you cope with your guy being cut for being a cancer to the team. Hysterical. To which then I said, I'm completely fine, dude. LOL. Life goes on, and I'll still be rooting for the Phillies. And you can't tell me you're not angry when you're responding, do something, in some sort of attempt at a threat. Hopefully this weather breaks soon, so you can go for a walk and breathe a bit. To which then he responded, you're a bitch. To which then I quote tweeted that tweet with the Kevin Durant tweet, which said, look at you, emotional. And I said, in a response tweet, classy. And he said, go cry in a corner. And I quote tweeted it with a thumbs up picture of me right in this very studio saying, nothing to cry about over here, bud. And that, ladies and gentlemen, has put a Twitter troll in an absolute mental pretzel 101. Because if we do a quick search here, everyone. If we do a quick Twitter search. I want to find this tweet here from 2024 that I found that made me absolutely LOL laugh out loud. Here we go. Our good friend at 2008 Phils quote tweeted on Pattison from October 6, 2024, saying, did Nick Castellanos say these fucking people here? And John Foley said it might be a very ugly offseason. Granted, this was October of 2024. To which this burner podcast account said, why? And John Foley said, if there's a first-round exit and a $100 million player calls the fan these fucking people, are you new here? And this burner podcast account said, God forbidden, nice grammar there, pal, a player claps back at the media or fans. Oh no, trade them all. Mike Schmidt hated the media and fans, and he's absolutely loved. John Foley said, trade him? Where did I say that? I'm acknowledging the reality that a quick playoff exit plus I hate these fucking people would make for a miserable offseason. Mike Schmidt is the greatest third baseman in the history of the game and was on the franchise's first championship team, apples and oranges. Castellanos will get a pass on all of this because they won, and he had the game-winning hit. That's also part of how this works. There would be a totally different reaction right now if they lost. To which burner podcast account said, typical overreaction from Philly media because an athlete opened his mouth. All athletes should just take their daily fines from the league, team, networks, and never talk. To which John Foley said, not what I said. I'm not sure what your beef is. And this burner podcast account said, you're upset with Castellanos' supposed words. He said to himself, players should be mutes to make fans and media happy. To which John Foley said, you continue to put words in my mouth, so I'm going to end this conversation. Rightfully so. There's always a tweet. There's always a tweet. A year prior, you're in this guy's corner for the same shit that you're fucking chastising him for now. You can't have it both ways. That's what I said earlier in the show. Everybody. This guy's a fucking dolt. This person's an absolute moron. I ran mental gymnastics. I ran a clinic on him. And it's just so goddamn funny that he hides behind a burner podcast account that has not posted a podcast in nearly 2 years and is just so goddamn angry. I couldn't imagine waking up and just being that angry every day of my life. It must be a miserable existence. And I'm very lucky that I don't have such a miserable existence and can enjoy life and can enjoy my daily day-to-day. And I get to talk to you guys, and we get to laugh about people like this on this show. And we get to talk Philly sports all the time on this show and have our own opinions because that's what makes the world a beautiful place. So we had some fun this weekend of our own, just Olympic style, Olympic mental gymnastics. Where do I sign up so I can go win a gold medal? Cheers to the morons. What an absolute fucking dipshit. Ugh. When I deal with these people, I feel like Thanos. When I deal with these people online who are too afraid to show their face, who have the ultimate Twitter fingers but would never do a thing in person. Not that I would do anything in person. I would show up and just sit there because I'm not going to get arrested for some dipshit. You want to assault me, go ahead. I'll see you in court. But I feel like Thanos when I deal with these people because it just makes me so much more powerful. You drop an Infinity Stone into my gauntlet every time you speak. And it's just a great feeling. I love collecting the Infinity Stones. I love having just a collection of absolute morons that I just know you're a moron now because you show your true colors. So if I see anything from you, I know that, hey, this guy's a moron. I can't really take what he's saying with too much credibility. So congratulations to the Burner Podcast account for joining the absolute Twitter dolt moron dipshit Hall of Fame. And who knows? Saw you have Sunday season tickets, so maybe you'll bump into me in line and you won't even realize it's me because you're too afraid to say anything, which would be hysterical if you tried because you would be ejected from the stadium so fucking quick. Because I wouldn't deal with it. I would call guest services and be like, hey, this guy, he's ruining my experience. Can you handle it for me? Fucking morons, man. These people show their hand. These burner accounts, they're like Dave Dombrowski this offseason, just showing his hand. Just boom. Here's my playbook. Fucking dolts. Ugh. What a fun episode of rambling and just head scratching and craziness. That is all I've got for you guys on this one. Make sure you're following us on the socials at Underground PHI across the board. We're on every social platform. It really helps the show continue to grow when you follow us, interact with us, and all that good stuff. So please follow us on the socials at Underground PHI across the board. Subscribe to the pod, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts in audio form. Leave us a 5-star rating and review. Goes a long way for helping this show continue to grow. Helps more people find the show and all that good stuff when you subscribe. So please subscribe on Apple, on Spotify. Leave those 5-star reviews and those comments on Spotify as well. And, of course, subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel, youtube.com/@UndergroundSportsPhiladelphia. Leave a like on the video. Drop a comment in the comment section. And click that bell icon so you know whenever new videos go live. Get us to 1,300 subscribers. Can we get to 1,300 before opening day? That'd be awesome. Please subscribe. Please subscribe. Please subscribe. And as you all know, this show is proudly presented by the city of Vineland. Yes, my hometown, our presenting sponsor. And whether you're a company looking to expand, relocate, or you're a new business startup, selecting the right location is critical to your success. Vineland, New Jersey offers both an affordable business location and an excellent quality of life. The city's economic development department is a one-stop source for moving your project through the development and approval process, and their goal is to make this process as smooth as possible and to provide the fastest turnaround times in the region. If you're considering potential locations for your operation, contact the Vineland Economic Development Team at 856-794-4100. That's 856-794-4100. Vineland, New Jersey, where it's always growing season. And big thank you to Security 21 Security Systems and Paul J. Gillespie Incorporated for their continued support of this podcast. This has been episode number 821. A very wild and wonky Phillies offseason roundup, comments galore, Twitter trolls taking a school edition of Underground Sports Philadelphia. I'm your boy KB. I will see you all on Thursday, breaking down the latest from spring training. Sixers coming out of the All-Star break. We'll see what happens there. And Olympic talk every day at Light the Flame Podcast. Go check that out. YouTube, Spotify, Apple. Follow it on the socials. It's linked in the description. And maybe we'll have a guest on Thursday. Who knows? We'll see how my scheduling can all work out. But until then, I appreciate you all for listening. This has been fun to kind of just word vomit a little bit. But until the next episode, I'm getting the heck up out of here. And I'm signing off. Peace.